Guess what, Raquel? We're live. We're live, everybody.
Hey.
Welcome, welcome to Keto Chat Live. I'm your host, Carol Freeman. I have a master's degree in nutrition and clinical health psychology. I'm a board certified keto nutrition specialist. I specialize in helping women 40 plus follow a keto diet for sustainable weight loss. And today I have a very special guest, Raquel. She is one of our newest peer support coaches. So part of the tradition of welcoming them on board is to do a little interview, a get to know them interview. So welcome, Raquel.
Hi, thanks for asking me. I'm so excited.
This
Applause,
platform is
applause.
backwards, so I always have to remember. I have to point the opposite of where, and
Oh,
it's kind of like Raquel. Do you remember like learning to curl your hair in the mirror or put
yes.
mascara on?
I'm still not good at it.
It's always like you poke yourself in the eye and like
Mhm.
try. It's always backwards. But then eventually your brain figures it out. So I've been doing
Yeah.
this long enough now that I know that if I point what I think is away from me, like my
Yeah.
brain knows that's how it looks like I'm pointing at you. So,
Yeah, I'm looking
oh,
at my opposite hand at where I am, so that's kind of
yeah,
funky. Yeah.
it's tricky. All right. Well, let's get to know you. So tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you're up to. Who tell us a little bit about your personal life.
Oh my
Whatever you feel like
goodness.
sharing, but not too much.
Okay, I will be circumspect in how I'm sharing. So, actually, I was born in the Philippines, but raised in California. We moved here when I was moved to California when I was about 6 years old. So I'm a California girl that is now transplanted to Texas.
Oh, that happened to a lot of
Mhm.
California people this last year.
Yeah, and we moved out here last year. We've been in our home now for a year as of 3 days from now, the 26th, 20,
Oh, wow.
29th. It will be 1 year anniversary in our house here in Texas. We
Goes
moved
by
here
fast.
after I retired. So, and my husband retired from our jobs and we came out just before the big storm and got the experience of having no electricity.
Oh, boy.
It was an adventure, and then bye, saying bye bye to my coworkers. They're all going. See you tomorrow. And then I have two grown sons. My eldest, Cameron, he just got out of the Marine Corps. He's as a captain, and my youngest, my Cody. See ya. He works for a big box store over here. He manages the customer service area, which he loves to do. My husband is a retired law enforcement, and Navy. So, and then when we got here, I was teaching online, but then my contract was done, and I thought, what do I got to do? I did not want to be bored, so I went back to work, and I really enjoy it, and it's keeping me a lot busier and a lot more engaged, and working with nurses again, which I really enjoy. So I am a clinical nurse specialist with a doctoral degree in nursing, and I think that's I'm a crafter, paper crafts. I make lots of cool things that my husband thinks I should sell on Etsy, but then that makes it a business, which means it's no longer an enjoyment.
Yeah.
It's a philosophical thing with me, so I haven't decided yet. But yeah, that's something I enjoy is this hanging out in my craft room and just making things. And
That's
yeah,
great.
yeah,
May I ask how old you are, Raquel?
I'm 63.
Okay,
Yeah,
excellent. Well, just so that people are watching, some of them
yeah.
will be like, "Oh, she's just like me." So,
I
uh,
got all this white hair. I decided to embrace the silver and stopped coloring my hair last year. December 2020. I said,
okay,
that's it. No more for me.
that I've seen that as a trend. Ladies couldn't get their hair done, and so then they're like, you know what? If we all just band together and make this popular, then we can do it. So it's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people pay thousands of dollars to get this
Yes,
color.
yes. Plus maintenance. Yeah, yeah,
Yes. Oh.
yeah. You're super trendy. Well, Raquel, let's talk a little bit about or not a little bit, but a lot about your keto journey. So, um, you were one of my clients. You've been with me for a while
Mhm.
now. But let's go back to before you started working with me. What was life like for you then? What, were your fears? What were the painful things? Like, what was it that made you finally seek out keto as a solution for you?
Well, um, painful things. Well, first things first was that being diagnosed with diabetes, hypertension, hyperlipidemia,
Mm.
um, thrombocytosis, which is too much red blood platelets in my blood cells, the fatigue, the brain fog. Oh, sore feet. I forgot to mention that at one
Okay.
point is the plantar fasciitis that went
Okay.
along with the excess weight that I was carrying. Uh, I was up quite a few pounds. I was about 50 pounds over what I needed to be for my
Mm.
size, and I'm little. I'm four, just under 4 foot 11, and and then not being able to find clothes to wear that I liked.
Mm.
It was, I didn't want to go into the size 16s, but I was wearing a size 16. It was quite a bit, and I said, "Oh, no, 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 that just won't do." But I think also feeling as crummy as I did, being that unhealthy and having to really monitor everything, including my diabetes. Really, I was scared because
Mm. Mm.
my mother's diabetic, and see, she's a type 2, but insulin dependent and
Mm.
has heart failure and has a pacemaker, and I didn't want to go down that same route, and it uh, it frightened me. So, and then what really happened after that was that Carrie Fisher, who
Mm.
was my age, died. So she's
Mm.
my why.
Okay.
A big why for me, because I grew up watching her. I grew up with her. I grew up with, and to see that happen to her, to somebody I really admired greatly because of her grit and everything. But she lived a hard life. I know she did, a lot of other things that I never did. But just the fact that she's a contemporary dying at the age that she did really was a big why for me. So
Yeah.
that was that. And then I started reading about keto and
Mm.
watching videos and watching a few people. And then I saw Carol on a, what was it? Was it a keto chow or a conference that you were doing? And I was watching, and I said, "Ha!" Because I liked what you had to say, and what you were telling us was so scientifically sound.
Mm.
And I thought, I need to call her. So I looked down at the show notes, and there's your contact information. I went on your website, and I made an appointment to talk to you about this program.
And that was 2 years
Ah,
ago. How long
I
has it been
think
now?
about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Excellent. Well, so then what happened? Initially, when I work with people, it's about a couple month period. So we do a
Mm-hmm.
really intensive, comprehensive
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
starter program. Do you
Yes.
remember back then, like what all improved for you? What changes you saw?
Well, immediately it was, I was looking at, going through the rules, which, those rules are so vitally important. I mean, it was like, oh boy. And it was so different than anything I'd ever said. It never said anything about calories or depriving myself of anything. It just meant that I would need to shift the way I thought about food.
Mm.
And following the rules was really important. And what I noticed right away were just some small things first. First things first is my blood sugar
Mm.
stabilized. I wasn't having the peaks and valleys. Second thing I noticed was that I dropped the weight pretty quickly at the very beginning. And then the third thing I noticed was that my vision cleared up
Mm.
because it was getting a little more fuzzy, and I was having to go up higher on my readers.
Mm.
And it all has to do with how much glucose you've got in your system. Your vision just goes, and so that was a big piece for me because I love to read, and then as somebody that looks closely at crafting and I'm painting and things like that, my vision's really important. So that was one of the things that said, okay, you're on the right track here. And then the second thing too was being able to buy. I think I said that I came down one bra size or something like that at one of our coaching calls and stuff. I said, "Oh yeah, I came down a whole bra size. It was kind of cool."
Uh, those little things, the non-scale victories that
It's
are
that was the
surprises.
big, yeah, and that was the big thing too. And I think also putting my scale away in the other bathroom and only getting on there once a week really gave a boost. I mean, it didn't tie me to the scale, which shifted the way I thought about the wins that I was getting. It was without that scale constantly there, by worrying about the weight itself, I could
Mm,
focus in on the really good wins, the other wins, the non-scale, the non-number wins that I was getting, which was feeling better, sleeping better. I wasn't having night sweats.
mm,
Um, my blood sugar was more consistent. My blood pressure was going down, and it really, yeah, not having the scale there and then getting on the scale once a week or maybe even every other week, it was like a nice surprise. It's like,
mm.
oh, look at that. But it was mostly the other things that really helped. So, because that
Well,
number will go up and down depending on how much fluid you got on and all kinds of other things. The weather.
welcome to live viewer. I can see that we've got somebody watching in the Keto Chat Lifestyle group. So please
Yay!
join us. Tell us you're here, where you're watching from. We love having you part of the show. So I can tell there's somebody here. I can't see who it is though until you actually leave a comment. So that's why I'm join. Let us know you're here. Welcome. We're so glad you're here to hear Raquel's success story. Oh, they just left. Oh no, it's like
Oh,
called somebody and they hung up on you.
oh.
Oh no, there's two people now. So welcome to the show,
Yay!
everybody. It varies. There, these people are on YouTube. So welcome to the show. Give us a comment. Let us know where you're joining from. We're exploring
Yay!
Raquel's keto journey. She's been with us for a couple of years and had some remarkable changes. And she's just come on board as one of our new peer support coaches too. So wanted to introduce her to everyone officially. So so you've been with us a couple of years. You've had tremendous success and sustainability of this
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle. What was it that really made you stay on with this? I mean, sometimes people just do a diet for a couple of months and then they just are like, nah, I'm done with this. So like what are your I guess I should ask it this way. Like, what are your secrets to being able to stick with it for this long?
I think it's paying attention to what my body is doing
Mm,
and seeing the difference. And they're subtle.
mm,
Um, but I think it's also putting myself first on those. And I have the advantage of having grown children. I don't have to worry about them. My husband's pretty independent. My parents are independent, and so I don't have. But I so I can focus on my own development, my own growth, and everything. But I think the biggest thing for me was all the physical changes that I was having. It was that's what really did it. And then also keeping my why always in the forefront. That's
mm,
what really helps. And I'll have to admit that, yes, I'm human. There were times when I would drift away and then I would catch myself and I go, not good. And then get back on it again. So I've done a few things, like being on the crew and then also doing the Get Unstuck program. So yeah, just to get back on to remind myself of why I'm doing this and remind my body of why I'm doing this because, our bodies, they adapt to very strange things that occur to us
mm,
and what we do to it, it will start to habituate to certain things that oh no, we really want to go back to the other thing that's even better for our bodies.
mm,
But I think the other thing that really convinced me, that above and beyond my own diabetes being under control and slowly changing and reversing and lowering my A1C, was the platelets. That's the
mm,
one that it probably surprises and freaks me out a little bit because how amazing it was. Because I was really high. I mean, I was way above normal for the number of platelets, and those are the little cells that cause blood clotting. Which it's a very it can be a scary thing to think that, oh, blood clots, strokes, those kind of things. But I think probably I was about a year into my keto journey that I went in and I had my quarterly appointment with my hematologist. I actually had a hematologist because of
mm,
this condition. I was
mm,
not on any medication. He was watching it. We couldn't find anything wrong, where it was coming from. There was no nothing. I mean, I went through all kinds of tests. It was crazy. And I had gotten my blood test before my appointment, and he came in the room with this really puzzled look on his face. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, um, what do you mean, what am I doing? He goes,
Was there a moment where you were a little nervous that something was really
yes,
bad?
I was,
Okay.
because the way
Yeah.
his face looked, I thought,
Yeah.
oh God, I'm in trouble.
Oh,
Something's
yeah.
wrong with me. Oh no, my blood counts are bad or something. But he said, you're normal. I said, what? He said, your platelets are normal. What are you doing?
Ah,
And I told him, I said, well, he goes, what did you do differently? What have you done differently? And I said, well, and I racked my brain a little bit. And I said, well, I've been eating the keto lifestyle, the keto diet. And he goes, what? What's that? So I got to do a tutorial on keto.
ah,
And he just went, huh. So he's going to do a little more research on that one to see if that was something that he would want to see about. Because really, when you think about blood, and any abnormalities in blood, it all
mhm.
goes back to inflammation.
Yeah.
Maybe my bone marrow was making too much of this stuff because it was inflamed.
Yeah, I just want to, pause here and reiterate this for our viewers and listeners, that, I remember that day when you came on
Mm-hmm,
the coaching call and got to report that your blood was normal. So she went from, they didn't know what was going on, but basically very high platelets, which put her at a high risk of having a heart attack or stroke, basically.
mm-hmm,
So they were watching it. They didn't know what else to do. And just following a keto low carb lifestyle, it went to normal. And I just want to pause here because there's so many myths out there about keto being dangerous and being
mm-hmm,
bad for your heart. And we've got several cardiologists actually that put their patients on low
mm-hmm,
carb keto lifestyle. So just, one more piece of evidence that, um, when I interviewed Dr. Ted Naiman out of the Seattle area, when I asked him, like, well, what gets better when you put people on a low carb or keto diet? He says everything you can measure gets better. So just trying, part of the work that I'm doing here is dispelling the myths that are out there about this being not healthful or a
mm-hmm,
dangerous or bad for your health type of thing. And it's not. So for those of us clinicians that are doing this, people like me and Raquel that are helping people follow this, we just see all of these things get better. So I forgot to read my medical disclaimer, so I'll just do that now just so that we don't get in trouble here. But this show is meant for educational entertainment purposes only. It's not medical advice nor intended to diagnose, prevent, treat, or cure any condition. If you have any questions or concerns related to your special medical condition, maybe try Siri or something. I don't know. But no, seriously, consult your professional healthcare your personal healthcare professional. I'm like, what did I type there? So, all right, we're covered now. So,
oh good, oh
yeah.
good, yeah,
So
got to do those disclaimers.
was chatting with one of my clients earlier today who was just like, but what about this? And isn't this? And I'm like, no, those are good changes you're seeing there.
Yeah,
So thank
yeah,
you for sharing that. And I still remember that day that you got to report that. And everybody I work with gets their own unique experience of surprises of things that get better. Most ladies I'm working with, weight loss is one of their top things, but then like you get all these other like, oh, and that got better too. That's amazing.
there's
So
so many cool gifts that I've gotten from being on keto, and to me um it's beyond anything else. It's like
mm,
this gift that I've given to myself, and
mm,
putting myself as a priority for this, that I can be around for my family,
mm,
um, and then for me to continue the work that I do. And it's wow, it's been a really great experience. And yeah, there's times, I mean, we're human. I'm human, I think. Sometimes people think I'm not human, but I am human. That I slip. We all do. It's called drift. Our minds can only do so many things at a time, and so, but it is again what you do with that.
mm,
The responsibility that I take for myself when that does happen is to get back on and do this. And the other thing is, do this with grace and without blame and
mm,
without beating myself up over it, because my goodness, this is a journey. It's not a one and done thing. This, to me, this is how things are going to be, and this is how I've structured my life to be. And Um, I'll just say though, I've saved a lot of money by bringing my own lunch to work because like the cafeteria here, oh my stars. I mean, I love the hospital and everything, but and dietitians are wonderful, but what they put in that cafeteria for the employees,
Oh, yes. I can only imagine.
oh,
I've seen inside too many hospital cafeterias, so
it just is not so and 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 if I'm and yeah, we've saved for my not buying lunches and things quite a bit by bringing my lunch and pre-planning everything. And oh, Carol, I've been tracking in Chronometer. That's
yeah.
another win for me because
Okay.
I used to struggle with that. I mean, I would just
Okay.
go days when I go, "Oh," and then, but now what I do now is I flip my switch a little bit here. I use it to pre-plan my day. So it's already recorded on there.
Mm.
For breakfast, I have an egg. I have some maybe, a slice of cheese, and I have my coffee, and I plan all my entire day, and that's what I eat, and that's what I
Mm.
stick to. And it doesn't allow me to kind of, because then when I think, oh well, maybe I can, no, it's not here in Chronometer. It's, I put it there, I got to commit to that, that's what I'm eating. So I've been able to track, which has been always been my challenge, is tracking. And
That's great. Thanks for sharing that tip because I know that works. There's several of our ladies that find that really helpful. If
yeah.
they pre-plan their day,
Mm-hmm.
you already know that that's going to be perfect macros for you. And if
Mm-hmm.
you try to deviate from that, you're gonna make yourself more work for yourself. So it's easier just to
Exactly.
stick with it. So
Yeah.
thanks for that tip. Another thing you mentioned too, you mentioned a couple of internal phrases that I'll just explain to our viewers and our
Oh.
listeners too. So you mentioned that some of your the things that have helped you get back on track when you've strayed a little bit are the crew, which is what our annual membership
Mm-hmm.
is. So after people do our initial short-term really comprehensive program, then we have a long-term support membership that inevitably indubitably the people that are in that are the ones that are able to stick with it longer. You mentioned another program we do occasionally too, the Get Unstuck program, which is a high protein protocol that helps people accelerate things too. So it sounds like one of your other tips or secrets for long term sustainability
Mm-hmm.
is just staying engaged with other people that are doing
Mm-hmm.
what you want to do. So um,
Exactly. And staying within the community,
yeah.
and sharing those ideas back and forth with each other. But it is, again, it's the principles of everything. It's just keeping the basic principles of keto in mind always,
Mm,
and 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 making it work. I think that what's really nice about what we do, the fast track and everything else, is there's enough variety, ability to vary some things within the 10 rules that, for me, I'm never bored with
mm,
the food, because there's ways of making things really different, and putting a little variety in things. And then it really helps to have a supportive family.
mm.
And my husband is super supportive. In fact, he last night, because he cooked, he's the one that cooks because he's retired, so he gets to be the house husband. So when I get home, I open the door and I say, Lucy, I'm home.
That's cute.
Oh, he's funny. And then he comes. Oh, there was one day he came out wearing an apron. It was hysterical. I fell on
Oh,
the
I love
floor
it.
laughing so hard. He was wearing one of my aprons anyway. Um,
Ah,
so, but last night he baked chicken for dinner, and we finished it because I was hungry. I said, I need protein. So I said, he goes, well, what do you want for dinner? I said, I want a big piece of chicken breast because that's the biggest. I mean, I said, I need protein. So he did. And then he said, honey, we don't have anything for your lunch tomorrow. What do you want? I said, I don't, do we have a hamburger patty frozen? So he cooked for my lunch for
oh,
today.
love it.
It was so sweet.
That's so
So I
great.
had a burger and cheese, for a hamburger patty with cheese and some grilled onions and mushrooms on top of it. So that was my lunch today.
Sounds
Isn't that
delicious.
cool? I
Yeah.
know.
Oh, I love it. And haven't you also influenced some of is it your sons too?
Yes, yeah. So my youngest son is doing. He's on keto also. Uh, not as consistent, but he's 29. He'll do what he wants to, but he knows the principles, and my older one. Now there's my this is he while he was overseas and doing a lot of working out and everything like that. He's basically carnivore on his food and diet. And the kid's like a brick wall. I can't find any loose skin to pinch, so I try, but there's I can't find one anywhere. And then my mother is also doing keto, and so
Mm.
she's been able to drop her A1C to 6.0.
Ooh,
She's
good.
dropped her insulin, I think. Uh, oh my gosh, it's way down on her pump. It's like her basal rate
Oh,
is really low.
oh, that's so
Um,
great.
oh my gosh. And so she's 89 and going strong. My dad is 99 and doing well. The only thing in their last, and they both eat a low carb, moderate protein meal. The only thing that's a little is their cholesterol's a little high and their blood
Mhm,
pressures are a little high. Well, they're
mhm.
89 and 99. I'm not going to fuss at them for that.
Do,
So
doing pretty good, it sounds like.
yeah, they
Yeah.
are. They're doing really well. They're both pretty strong.
Now, Raquel, we've never talked about this, and you've never mentioned your, upbringing in the Philippines before. So I'm curious, were there any struggles as you started keto with foods that were your, cultural favorites from your childhood? And a lot of those are very high carb foods. What was that like, and how did you navigate that?
Rice was eating those high carb foods, the starchy stuff.
Hmm.
It's very, very common in the Philippines. That was at the very beginning. It was just almost, in order for me to be able to do that, I just had to completely knock it out of my kitchen. It went out the door and went elsewhere.
Hmm.
And knowing that, and we've talked about things like there's certain triggers that we avoid in order for us not to have those flashbacks or cravings and things to stuff. So anything that looked like that was
Mm.
out the door.
Okay, so like,
Um,
are you saying then that even like cauliflower rice didn't work for you because
At
it
that
made you
point,
really
no, it
okay?
didn't.
Made
In
you want the
fact,
real thing,
now,
right?
yeah, in fact, now it still doesn't work well for me
Yeah.
to have cauliflower rice
Okay.
but I can do mashed cauliflower
Okay. Because it doesn't look
because
the same.
no, it doesn't work
Yeah.
the same. I don't have the same relationship with the white
Ah,
russet.
this is so I love this that I asked you about this, Raquel, because
Yeah,
it really like that's a lot of what I lecture or teach people about is that your brain can't really tell the difference. Like it just knows that rice gives you a big dopamine endorphin
yeah,
rush in your
yep,
brain, spikes your blood sugar, makes you feel
yeah,
happy and dopey for a little while,
yeah,
but the cauliflower rice like looks similar enough that your brain just thinks,
yeah,
no, I want the real thing. And
yeah,
so thank you for sharing that
yeah,
experience too, because and that's one of the things I like to teach people is like anything that causes you to crave something, like you're going to have less challenges of fighting cravings if you don't even have the craving in the first place. So that's
exactly.
interesting.
And it could be visual or textural. It
Yeah.
does,
Okay.
and because the taste is so different, but it's that visual or the textural thing that usually gets me. It's just
Yeah.
like, um, I think that's one of the biggest things for me. And then other
That's,
things that,
that can I add for me too? I'm just having an
yeah,
aha myself about
yeah,
texture too,
yeah,
because in the beginning I was trying to make these like sometimes people will say these like chia seed pudding things, right? That kind of like to me it's the same texture as like a tapioca pudding.
yeah,
And I just like I would have the same thing. I can't eat those things because it just makes me feel like I want to shove it in my mouth. And it's like same thing. It's a texture thing. My brain's like, no, I think this is like
real pudding.
real pudding. So it's like I don't like that feeling of feeling
Yeah,
insatiable and food
yeah.
obsessed. So thank you.
It,
This is fun.
I know it's really a very weird thing is about what our brains remember and what it
Yeah.
relates it to, because there's always that either that emotional or situational thing that we relate things to, and then they're tied to that. And food is tied to events in our lives that way,
Mhm.
and so that comes with the cravings and things like that. Now,
Mhm.
certain triggers and things, um, and I just blessed the day that I discovered salt, and having salt in my water that I can sip on all day really helps with. I'm sorry, I'm moving the camera. I'm on my cell phone, so yeah, having this big old thing with salt in it has been really a big lifesaver for me regarding because it really cuts the craving for sweets. I never would have thought it that way, but
Mm.
that's really a very interesting phenomenon.
So one more question. Fantasy world where you never found our support, you never discovered keto, where would you be right now? This isn't fun to think of, but
I probably I probably would be on insulin, um, with a higher blood pressure medication than I have not changed my blood pressure medication and dose for the last since I was 45. Um, Probably have a lot more aches and pains than I do have. I had during my during a period where I did a little bit of a drift away. I started having bursitis in my right hip.
mm,
Well, since um, probably over the last 4 months since really getting back, and then now since this is like I think my second week of the fast track reboot, I haven't had that.
mm,
It's like gone. No aches on my hip. Um, the other thing too that so I probably would not be able to walk as well as I do.
mm,
I'd have to wear all kinds of orthotics for my plantar fasciitis.
mm,
And if anybody's ever had that pain, it, it radiates all the way up through
mm,
your body, I probably would be in a lot more pain. Oh, the other thing, I would probably have seborrheic dermatitis or
mm.
psoriasis in my scalp. That cleared up
Okay.
because, and I found out that I'm allergic to soy, which you
Okay.
don't have on the keto,
Yeah.
and so now I don't have it. There's so many cool things that happen because I've
Yeah.
changed the way I eat.
Yeah. uh,
It's
what do
pretty
you,
amazing.
yeah, what are your colleagues? I know you're retired from where you're working before, but what did they think about
Well,
this crazy diet that you followed and all the changes?
this is Texas. I work with nurse educators down here,
Mm,
and in Texas, it's. I mean, I'm in a totally different environment. So, one of my colleagues said, "Oh my gosh, do you mean to tell me you're going into ketoacidosis?" And I said, "Oh my goodness, let me educate you.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not that." And then, of course, they all go out to lunch and they all get everything that's so high carb. And I'm looking at the food and my stomach is making, crampies and stuff. And I'm going, okay, I just need something with protein and meat. So I usually will get something with a high protein and then a salad base or vegetable or
Mm.
something like that. And somebody else will eat the chips because I just, no.
Do do you have some good barbecue locations around you?
Tons,
Oh, good.
really a lot
Yeah,
of good barbecue
yeah,
places, and many of the places will barbecue the stuff without the sauce for you. So there's
yeah,
two ways that you can get your, and right here it's brisket is king,
yeah. And that's
and
the nice
I
fatty
love
cut. Yeah,
brisket.
yeah. So
Yeah,
good.
I love brisket. So, and I'll eat a lot of that because I mean that's good protein right there. And
Yeah.
yeah, we have my husband and I have three favorite places we like to go to,
Okay.
and then also there's a poke place here too. So I get the poke bowl without the rice,
Oh,
just
okay.
greens on there, and then good salmon and
All the proteins.
all the proteins that go
Yeah.
on top.
Oh,
Yeah,
yum.
Yeah, really delicious. And this place has non-soy sauces to put on there,
Okay.
so they have aminos.
Ah, nice.
I know, that was a surprise. So that was nice.
Bonus. All right. Well, anything else that you want to leave everyone with? Any tips you have for success? Anyone considering keto or anyone struggling with keto?
Um, like with any kind of change, if you haven't done this before, you're new to this, it takes attention.
Mm, mm,
And I think and we, and especially women, are not used to putting the attention on ourselves and putting ourselves as a priority. But I always used to think of, if I don't take care of myself, who's going to take care of my family if something
mm,
happens to me?
mm.
And so that was a big thing for me. And I think my best advice is to just do it. It's it's the best thing I've ever done for myself,
Mm,
and that's why I've stuck with it as long as I have, even though through all the peaks and valleys of things. But again, it's knowing what's happening in my body. I'm happy where I am. Yeah, could I, drop a few more pounds? Yes, it's that pesky 10 pounds I can't seem to get rid of. But it'll come at some point. My body will just decide it doesn't need it anymore. But all the other things that I have going is the fact that my A1C puts me at a pre-diabetic state. My insulin level is normal at 12, which is nice. And everything else is normal. So to me, that means a lot. And that will keep me doing this because I just think that I want to live to 100. That would be cool. My dad, I think, is going to live to 100 and beyond, so I figure I
yeah.
should too.
Yeah. Well,
So,
thank you so much for being here and all your support. And welcome aboard as one of our brand new peer support coach. So that role for our clients is that Raquel's one of the ladies that get to mentor people as they come in and start keto. So if you're somebody
yeah.
who would like to have Raquel as a mentor as you start out keto, check out my website, ketocarol.com. Carol has an E on the end. It's the very fancy French spelling. So you can read
Yes.
all about my journey and check out more about Raquel and see if it might be a fit if you'd like that support on your own journey as well.
We
And
have fun.
yeah. Well, thank you everyone for watching. We're going to wrap this up and we'll see you on the next show. We've got another episode coming on. This was a bonus episode, unplanned or unscheduled, but we've got one tomorrow on January 27th. I'm going to be, what am I talking about? I've got on my list here. I'm going to be talking about how to lose weight on keto without counting calories. So if you hate counting calories, I'm talking about that on our next episode. So come back and we'll see you again next time. Thanks, Raquel, for being here. Thanks for everyone for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.